They thought the Caribbean was quiet at dawn, but silence lies. 6:42 in the morning, Western Caribbean. The water was flat as glass when the first ripple spread outward. Slow, deliberate, unnatural. Then the sea broke. A Virginia-class attack submarine punched through the surface barely 1.9 nautical miles from the Venezuelan patrol ship Guapiro. No warning, no sonar cue, no radar hint. One moment, the horizon was empty. The next, a billion-dollar beast of steel was standing tall in the sun, its sail rising like a black monolith from the deep. On the Guapiro's bridge, the combat team froze. Shock, confusion, a creeping fear that their entire detection suite had just failed without explanation. But it had not failed. This was a message, a $3 billion reminder that the United States chooses when to be seen and when to disappear. And today, Washington wanted Caracas to know the difference. The escalation did not happen with a single splash of steel. It unfolded over days, quiet, methodical, and unmistakably American. To the south, the United States had been tightening its grip across the Caribbean, building what Pentagon planners called continuous pressure, and it showed. An Aegis destroyer slipped into the region first, its radar arrays sweeping the horizon with the calm certainty of a ship that owned every cubic inch of the battle space. High above, reconnaissance aircraft traced wide arcs, collecting signals, mapping patterns, and marking every Venezuelan transmitter with surgical precision. Electronic warfare birds followed, listening, probing, pressing. And beneath it all, nuclear submarines rotated through the theater like ghosts, never seen, always present. For Caracas, it was a three-front squeeze: counter-narcotics surveillance, tactical containment, and political deterrence. Every patrol they launched was shadowed. Every transmission was logged. Every movement was interpreted as a potential tell. On paper, Venezuela tried to respond. Statements on national television, promises of sovereignty, speeches about resistance. But behind closed doors, their naval command was being dissected under a microscope. Southcom wanted to know how they would move, how fast they would escalate, and whether they even understood the size of the shadow hanging over them. And the answer was becoming clear. The sea was getting hotter, the margin for error thinner, and the United States had already taken the high ground, above, below, and across the entire Caribbean battle space. On any chart, on any warboard, on any Pentagon briefing slide, the matchup was lopsided. The United States did not just hold the advantage, it owned the entire spectrum of undersea warfare. And the Virginia-class submarine was the proof. Built for silent dominance, a Virginia carried more than 40 Tomahawk cruise missiles, each capable of reaching deep inland, over 1,600 kilometers, with precision that turned command centers into craters. Its Mk-48 ADCAP torpedoes were apex predators, designed to crack hulls, vaporize compartments, and end any surface engagement before it even started. And the submarine's next-generation acoustic stealth made it nearly impossible for conventional navies to locate, let alone track. Add in the A/SLQ-32 electronic warfare suite, and the vessel could blind opponents long before firing a shot. Across the water, the Venezuelan Guapiro class was a different universe. A 76mm deck gun, C-802A, anti-ship missiles with limited range, radar that could detect but not outthink modern threats, and sonar that struggled past shallow layers, let alone deep-water sub-hunters. This was not a duel. It was a physics problem. If the United States struck first, Venezuela would only learn it had been targeted when the explosion arrived. If Venezuela reacted first, the submarine would already be gone, leaving only questions and wreckage. In modern naval warfare, invisibility beats firepower, and Washington had both. War games are fiction until they are not, and every planner in Southcom knew exactly how a real engagement would unfold. It would begin in silence, somewhere beneath the thermocline, with a submarine captain issuing a command barely louder than a whisper. One push, one turn of a key, one order transmitted through steel. A Tomahawk launched from depth does not roar. It rises like a phantom, breaches the surface, then dips low to sea skimming altitude. From there, it becomes a blade in the dark, weaving through radar gaps, hugging the curvature of the Earth, hunting for the nerve centers that hold a nation together. Command bunkers, comms hubs, coastal radar nodes, targets that do not get second chances. On the surface, the Guapiro class would have seconds to respond. It's C-802. Missiles could fire in retaliation, but the United States was not planning to fight fair. Electronic warfare would twist the picture, bend the radar, blur the lock. A 10 to 15% hit probability at best, and even that assumed visual confirmation, something they were unlikely to get before the sky lit up. The Venezuelan ship would burn before it understood what had happened, and the submarine that delivered the strike would not linger. A tilt of its bow, a correction of its depth planes. 30 seconds later, only bubbles would mark the spot. This is the law of the modern sea. Whoever is found first, loses first. Real conflict does not begin with missiles. It begins with data. And on that quiet Caribbean night, the Virginia-class submarine shifted into a mode few navies on Earth could even detect. Silent run. Pumps throttled down. Coolant flow reduced. Heat signature folded into the background of the sea. The boat became a shadow inside a shadow. Above, the Guapiro class continued its patrol as if nothing had changed. Its officers scanned their scopes. Its sonar crew listened. Its captain maintained course. None of them knew they were already inside an American intelligence envelope. None knew that every turn of their propellers and every sweep of their radar was being recorded. The submarine collected everything: radar pulse intervals, beam rotation timing, sonar modulation patterns, alert reaction speed, crew coordination under stress, the kind of data that cannot be bought, stolen, or guessed. Data only earned when a target behaves naturally, unaware that every move is being archived. Encrypted packets were transmitted upward in narrow bursts, caught by distant relays and forwarded to Southcom and the amphibious assault ship Tripoli. In war planning rooms, analysts watched the Venezuelan patrol ship move like a specimen under glass. The Guapiro thought it was patrolling. In truth, it was being studied. Not attacked, not destroyed. Worse, it was being understood. And once an enemy is understood, defeating them becomes math. Power is not just shown. Sometimes it is demonstrated. Briefly, surgically, then withdrawn. And at dawn, the submarine commander chose to send the clearest warning a nation can receive without a single casualty. The Virginia class surfaced for only 3 minutes, just long enough for the Guapiro to see the steel tower rise, for alarms to scream, for every Venezuelan sailor to rush to their station with adrenaline choking their breath. The moment the conning tower broke the surface, Caracas believed an attack was imminent. Then came the ping. 1. Sonar pulse. Not a search, not a lock, a declaration. It hit the Guapiro's hull like a hammer on a cathedral bell, echoing through every compartment, an announcement that the United States Navy was watching, measuring, and waiting. The patrol ship erupted in chaos, weapons elevated, radar spun at maximum speed, sonar teams shouted bearings, officers issued overlapping commands. It was not combat readiness. It was panic wearing a uniform. And before the crew stabilized, the submarine tilted its bow, dipped beneath the surface, and dissolved into the ocean as if it had never existed. No engine noise, no cavitation, no bubble trail. Only emptiness. For Venezuela, the moment felt supernatural, like a ghost rising to whisper in their ear, then disappearing. For the United States, it was routine. They had just finished reading an entire playbook written in another Navy's handwriting. Caracas raised its alert levels, but fear without direction is useless. They did not know where the submarine had gone. They did not know if it was alone. They did not know whether the next ripple on the surface was wind or war. Meanwhile, the United States expanded pressure into a semi-blockade. 8 warships active in the theater. Amphibious forces repositioning. A carrier strike group approaching from the north. Presence became control. Control became dominance. And dominance in modern warfare speaks louder than missiles. In the end, the question was simple. Who is stronger? The fleet with firepower, or the fleet that makes its enemy afraid to pull the trigger? The Caribbean now knows the answer.